for this thing to start going. So, not painful experience. The painful experience is actually the exercise. Let me see if I can move this in a place that cinematic. No, not really. Not really so cinematic. Where did I put my glasses? Oh no. How can I talk to people if I can't see them? All right, there we go. There we go. That's a little better. My giant eyes are back. God, this is so flattering, isn't it? Why do I do this? I ask myself every day, why on earth do you make yourself sweaty and miserable and then broadcast to people who may have thought better of you until then? Who was that? Who was the first one to say hello? Hello, Dylan. How are you, Dylan? First, indeed. Well, thank you very much. I know enough now to sort of stall for a while. Not that my entire thing isn't a bit stally, anyways, but that I stall for a bit before I start now because I realize it takes a while for this thing to sort of kick into full streaming mode. But I've got my Mr. Grumpy mug. I've done my 21 minutes. I've cursed and sworn at my freaking princess of a mutt that wake me up every morning. Mary Lou, hello. Steve Cherry from UK. Yeah, UK. You know, my homeland. Born in Red Hill, Surrey. I was. Sean, good morning to you. Bonjour, Manon. Au France. Comment allez-vous? Je suis très bien. Nathan Chubb says, afternoons, hopes you're well. Afternoon for you. It feels like evening for me, even though it is, where is it now for me? What time is it? Let's have a look. On the old Stargate watch. 8:51 for me. Bloody dog. Bloody dog. You know, I call her the mutt princess, and she gets me up when, you know, basically she's like clockwork. You could set an atomic clock to that mutt's stomach because she wakes me up like every morning, just, you know, around 7:20 to 7:30 ish. So caught you live from New Brunswick. Is that New Jersey? New Jersey. I heard. Is this true? Share a miso soup. Share miso soup. Is it true that in New Jersey, if you're a smoker, you can get vaccinated? I heard that you could get, and maybe that's just fake news, but I heard that they were like saying like no questions asked. If you're a smoker, come in, get a jab, because of course the damage it can do to lungs, especially the people who have already done damage to their own lungs, is pretty bad. So I'd be curious to know if that be the truth or if that be false news. Where are we going here? Hello, Arnaldo. Your pup is the same, Sean. Yeah. Why do we do this? I know why we do this because I didn't want to do it. We had the perfect dog. We had Mars. I loved Mars. Mars was just like the Wonder Mutt. Fantastic. Go see The Dog's Breakfast. We made that movie basically just to show off our dog. It's sad, really. Some people make home videos. We make, feature films. God, I love that dog. I mean, drove me nuts, but I love that dog. Very, very much my speed, in that he didn't like to do much. He was incredibly loyal, wandered around, loving every second of you. Just attention was all really he cared about. Now we got this one, who I have. I don't know where she's gone now. See, she's left again. She's probably right now gnawing through some important computer cable in my office. I like calling it an office because it makes it sound like I got a job. But I adore her, but she's just so freaking high maintenance. It's like, yeah, I mean, she really is like a little princess. Like she demands belly rubs in the morning, and she comes in and just basically puts all of her, I don't know how many pounds on your chest through one paw in the morning, like some kind of a taekwondo move. Just goes funk, and then basically you're dragged out of the bed by your hand, and you have to feed this thing. And then I thought, well, now I'm up. Instead of my doom scrolling, why don't I go and do a little exercise? So I did 21 minutes again today, from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Is that I can't read. Oh, dear me. Is that a PA? Is that Pennsylvania? Is that PA? I heard the same thing about smokers. It's true. Yes, smokers are ahead of teachers. Oh, for F's sake! You got to be kidding me. I guess the concern being that smokers could also spread it just as badly as. I mean, I guess here's the deal. As much as that fills me with anger in that I quit smoking a long time ago. Horrible habit. In fact, I'm awful. I tell people to quit smoking all the time. I've become my father that way. It's just such a freaking waste of money, air, life. It drives me crazy. But at the same time, we have to get this thing under control. So if we can scare a few smokers into getting the jab, that's great. Okay, I suppose we just have to go. Great. You know what? Which sister, Pamela? I've got 5 of them. I've got five younger sisters, but I'm guessing you're probably asking about Kate, the one who was actually playing my sister on Stargate. She's doing very, very well. I don't know. She's got some exciting news and stuff. I don't know if she shared that or not yet, but we're all very happy for Kate. What else we've got? Good morning from the Philippines. Oh wow, about to go to bed. Oh well, sleep well. It's my favorite thing to do, Jason. Sleep. Thank you. I also loved my work on Stargate too. I thought I did a fantastic job. Hot Pepper wants more Stargates, don't we all? It's true. Just think if the Stargate was on again, I wouldn't have to do this myself. I'd have like professional trainers moving my arms for me. Basically, I'd have like four people working each, one on each arm and leg, working them out for you, or they'd have some kind of major machine doing it for me. I'd be asleep at the time or sipping some kind of a nice cocktail or something. Hello from Russia. It's those hot peppers from Russia. Oh my God, I've always wanted to go to Russia, I got to say. Russia is this land of mystery to us on the out here in the old North America because there's just so much crazy history between our countries, and I'm just kind of I'd love to. They should do conventions in Russia. They do conventions in Russia. Once they get this pandemic under control. Huh? What is it? Oh man, God, the sneeze just came at me fast and furious. All right, hello Trinity. Hello, Fabian. Hola from Argentina, or Argentinia, as I tried to call it yesterday. Any new Stargate stuff coming out for 21 or 22? Not that I know of. I mean, they keep making announcements, which drives me crazy because I don't know what's going on. But no, the only announcement, and I think I've said this before, is just the RPG game. So there's a Dungeons and Dragons style 5th edition RPG for Stargate, which I got to say I really like it. And speaking of Dungeons and Dragons, we're playing today. We're gonna do. We're going to Twitch, I guess, or maybe I should do it. Should I do it on YouTube today? I don't know. Normally I'm on Twitch. Yeah, we're set up for Twitch. All the kids know about Twitch and stuff. So we're going to do a Dungeons and Dragons game today at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with my Tech Bandits, which is always absolute madness. And I eventually end up saying, shut up and stop talking all at the same time. We're trying to kill a dragon. So it's just for my Tech Bandits kids. To me, they think it's a game, and it is a game. I know it's life. But the thing I love about it for them is that it's teaching them to imagine, to use their imagination, to work together, to be creative. I mean, I think it's just a great sort of learning, or if not an inspirational tool. So it's sort of, to me, it falls in line with the stuff I'm doing with Tech Bandits. So I've sort of been kind of happy that we could include that as well. And I got to say, huge thank you. James Gurney has just been extraordinary that way. Go follow Jim the Evo on YouTube. He's done some amazing videos about viruses. I mean, he was a virus fan long before any of this happened, and now he's in Atlanta doing stuff that he's not allowed to talk about. So, just one of the most just charming, funny, intelligent people I've ever had the pleasure of meeting, and I'm very, very thankful to Q Dragon, who you should also be watching, Cooking with Q. You should go check him out for putting us in touch, because he's become like a really he's just become a friend, really. I mean, just love the guy. He's fantastic. Anyways, enough of this love stuff. It's great that you had that mad scientist image, Einstein. Einstein style. I wish I could claim any credit to it, but this is what I look like after I've worked out. Now, and I've got to confess one thing. I didn't immediately come and start this live stream. I actually went up. I had a cup of tea, and I gave myself a little bit of cool down time, because I couldn't breathe. My glasses were completely fogged up. I was just like, I couldn't get a word. I couldn't get a single word out, that made any sense. So I missed 3.5. Really, you missed the 3.5 Dungeons and Dragons? Is that what you're talking about? Or the 3.5 discs on your PC? I mean, these are the things I wonder about. What else have we got here? Hey, do you still want to nations for nations? Oh, donations. Oh yeah. Oh, thank you, Candy. Yeah, if you go over to thetechbandits.com, there's a donation form, or there's a Patreon as well if you want to do that. I really appreciate it. What I like to do is just, I'm sort of trying to save up a bit of money so that we can get cool tools and stuff that the kids can play with, or that I can play with, that I hope will inspire the kids, like the robots and all that kind of jazz. And eventually, I'm sort of putting stuff aside now, because what I'd like to do is renovate the basement and the garage so that they can have access to it without it sort of interfering with our our living arrangements. So basically, a way that they can have a makerspace here that they can get access to the 3D printers and the CD and the CNC machines and all that kind of stuff. So basically, just sort of acquire a bunch of tools and tech that the kids can then use. And the idea being is that we would sort of film all this stuff, globally in the hopes of inspiring. No, God, I got it wrong. God, I got to work on that pitch. So the idea is that I'm hoping to get them to build and do stuff locally, and then we inspire globally by showing people to the video of this stuff being made. I'm going to work on that because that's I love that idea. There's something about the wording of that I'd like to get right, so that because it really, to me, it sort of crystallizes what I'm hoping to do. I originally went in to the local public school and wheeled my wares. I wheeled bunches of old computers and printers and stuff into the school, and then they would pull them apart, and then I would sort of wheel them all back again. And then I started wheeling in 3D printers and robotic arms and stuff, and got them building stuff and playing with a lot of disability related stuff like assistive tech that the kids just love, because the assistive tech is they're seeing their technology make a difference right away. I mean, they just it's one thing being taught like, oh, here's a circuit, it lights a light. But if that lights a light that then helps, a kid with developmental disabilities learn, the connection between light switches and lights, or lights up a game for them or stuff, they see that kind of connection, and it's all of a sudden you see that technology is not this standalone knowledge. It's something that affects, that can have such an amazing impact. I mean, I still, for all of my grumpy, pre-breakfast blood sugar low depressions that I get, I slowly lose the thread as these things continue, because I get hungrier and hungrier, and I get grumpier and grumpier. But despite all of that, I do believe in technology. Like I do think that technology is the solution to all of our problems, as well as possibly the cause of many of them as well. But I still feel that technology will then solve that. Okay, tea time. Was it ever hard to speak so fast during Atlantis, especially with all the technobabble and science talk? He says, speaking very quickly. I mean, look, I was sort of under the idea that I was under the impression that if people were interested in what I was saying, then they'd either go back and listen to it again, or they probably knew what I was talking about already. And if they weren't, then I should get through it quickly and as amusingly as possible. So, not really. I mean, I've always spoken really quickly. I mean, I talk incredibly fast. That's just what I do. I think it's a pit thing. So we're Crawford Pitts and Hewletts on the other side, and the Pitts were all very, very quick speakers. I mean, look, not to drag things down here, but I lost my uncle yesterday to COVID, to this wretched freaking pandemic thing. I mean, he missed the vaccinations by about a week. He was in a home that didn't get the vaccinations and did get COVID, and he died yesterday. And he was a Pitt I very much admired. Bryce Pitt was a psychiatrist and an author and an actor. I mean, he was a guy who lived at a time when you didn't go off and become an actor. That's not what you did. If you were from good stock, you were sent off to become a doctor, and that was his father's, not even wish; it was his father's demand. And he always used to say to me that he wishes that he'd been able to do what I did. Because again, I mean, my father was not, my father was always incredibly supportive, but he didn't want me to be an actor because he was concerned that there was no future in that. I mean, what are the chances? It's like my son saying to me now, "Oh, I want to be a professional streamer." My first instinct is to go like, "Yeah, you and everybody." And my father must have felt the same thing. I mean, from a family of doctors comes this kid who's like, "I want to be an actor. I want to be Doctor Who," and no wonder he was freaked out about it. But the generation before that never even had that as an option. So as soon as he retired, he started doing theater and stuff. But he was just truly one of the most brilliant, funny, um, just gentlemen. I mean, I mean, maybe not a gentleman. Gentleman is the wrong word because that makes him sound boring, and he just wasn't at all. Just a lovely, lovely man, and a good brother to my mom, which I always appreciate, of course. And it's just it's very sad. So please, 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 be safe, be kind, be considerate. Wear those masks, wash those hands, get the vaccine when you can. This is a terrible thing. There's nothing fair about it, and And yeah, and it's, I mean, poor Jane's already lost an uncle in this early on, and and it's I mean, it's so ridiculous that in the span of like 6 months or whatever it is, 8 months, 9 months, I don't even know where we're at this now. Um, you know that I'd already forgotten that she'd lost someone. I mean, like it was just it's been so long, and I know that we're all getting bored of this, and I know that there's everyone's questioning the being told what to do and stuff, but the reality is like it's just common sense at this point. We have to hunker down now. We can get through this with a couple of vaccine shots. Let's survive till then. Go sneeze again. Huh? Hey, phew! There you go. Okay, look, sorry, not to drag it down. Just he was an actor. He wanted to be an actor, and I just feel like this freaking pandemic, he can't even have a proper send off. You know what I mean? Like he can't have that big grandiose people getting up and making speeches and crying and all that stuff that I'm sure as a drama loving man that he was, a movie lover. I mean, God, he was a movie buff. He'd seen every movie you could ever imagine and had an opinion on all of them. Lovely. I used to have great chats about whether this film was a brilliant film or not. And damn it, I never got a chance to talk to him about Shape of Water. I would love to have known what he thought about that. I have to ask my mom. I bet you he's talked to his mom. I bet you talked to mom about it. Anyways, point being is, yeah, we can get through this. We can get through this very, 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 very soon. We just need to sort of hunker down and take care now. So, okay, I'm sure everyone's bored sick of COVID stuff, but I just wanted to say that because I want to give him a bit of a. I think he'd get a kick out of the fact that I'm on social media talking about him. I know when I'm gone, I don't want people to shut up about it. I want people talking about me, and I think that he would feel the same way. And so I would just, I would invite you to go, look up Bryce Pitt, and he wrote a book. He actually wrote a book that many of you might be interested in, which is actually like his version of King Arthur. Like he went back and did this thing called Mordred something. I can't remember what it was called now. But it was like it was like his version of King Arthur. I mean, he just amazing guy. Anyways, I'll have a look and see if I can find links to his books and stuff like that. So, all right, what do we got? I sympathize with you. My grandmother passed away back in October. Oh, I'm so sorry, Christopher. I mean, this is it. This is it, isn't it? It's just that it goes for the elderly, doesn't it? We need nanites. We totally do, Pamela. We need, it's funny. My son had to do a project in school, and he came up with this thing he called them nano docs, as in nano doctors. And his idea was they were going to go in and they were going to zap cancer and they were going to kill COVID. And I just thought it was so cool that a kid, a 13-year-old kid can have that as a school project, and that it can actually be pursued and is being pursued. I mean, so we talk about technology saving the day. I just, I think that, I think that's our way forward for sure. But I do think we've got an awful lot of we've got a lot of social, political stuff we've got to work out as well, don't we? All right. Staff of the Ori. Yeah, no kidding. Deep, man. That's it, man. I'm getting deep, man. Oh, my mom. Oh, yeah, Nathan, that's rough. I mean, this is the thing. I think that you're not only robbed the company of the people you love while you're going, you're robbed the farewell as well. Like you're robbed of the pomp and circumstance that could or that's expected of that stuff. Now, maybe this will change the face of that stuff. I mean, the other thing is with a lot of funerals nowadays, you can't all get together. I mean, forget the pandemic. Even before the pandemic, a lot of people just didn't make it to funerals. I mean, I'm wondering if maybe the idea that we're now much more comfortable with these kind of online chats and platforms, that maybe there's a way that we'll start participating in those things more often. And I know from my perspective, I think it's something that I'd be much more likely to show up for a Zoom sort of farewell than I would be to actually be able to fly somewhere to attend that kind of stuff. And there's a part of me that sort of goes like, well, I'd rather see them when they're alive. You know what I mean? I'd rather spend all my money going to see them while they're around, or Skyping with them while they're around, than I would flying off to see, a body being put in the ground. But I suppose I guess I'm sure I'll feel very differently when it gets even closer. But anyways, boy, why? See, this is the problem with not having my hot cross buns. I get once I've not had my hot cross bun, you start getting low on this stuff. Got to be careful. All right, vitamins don't work that way. What? What's up for vitamins? You guys talking vitamins? What do you got? Immunity is the answer. Politicians don't want us well. They should give everyone vitamins C, D3, zinc, glycinate. Um, Politicians don't want us well. I think they do here, Mary Lou. I mean, in Canada, it costs them a lot of money if we're sick. So I think, I mean, I think they're very good at sort of like not covering things and pretending they do. But I'm not sure about other places. But funerals here in Scotland are limited to 20 people, roughly. I don't think we're even allowed that, Chelsea. It's supposed to last about 10 to 15 minutes. It feels so rushed, unfortunately. Yeah, I mean, I think there's going to be a lot of revisiting the funeral thing after this. I mean, I think there's going to be a lot of. I hope that people will be able to make time to sort of out of their post-COVID lives to sort of get together and really appreciate the people who we've lost, if that makes sense. Uh, what are we doing these days? Says Joe Boner. Well, I'm doing this. I'm exercising in my basement and talking to you. Um, uh, no, I've got. I mean, I'm working on a couple of shows right now. Neither of which have started back. Well, they may have started up again. I'm sort of in here and there, so it's hard to know when. But I don't think I'm shooting until like the beginning of February on those. Almost. I mean, God, Jules always busy. Nichols always. They're always working. I mean, I went. I texted a little bit back and forth with Paulie McGee the other day, not the other day, a couple of weeks ago, sort of over Christmas and stuff. It's been a couple of little sort of like, thinking of you, love you, leave me alone, buzz off. I only kiss you because I was paid, that kind of stuff. But yeah, so we just, yeah, basically just we see them online a lot, each other. We see each other online a bit, a bit of tweeting back and forth. But it's really, yeah, it's been a long time. I mean, it's been a long, long time. So unless you're in sort of direct contact with them or in their proximity, then it's sort of hard to keep up with them, I got to say. And you've all gone off and had families. I mean, our lives are completely different. We used to go and hang out in what do we used to go hang out in downtown Vancouver in Gastown, go out eating fancy dinners and drinking all night. And now, of course, we all have like kids and dogs and responsibilities, and we're old and gray and that kind of stuff. Although none of them look it. I seem to be the only one. I'm like their painting. I'm like the painting of Dorian Gray for Stargate Atlantis. Everyone else looks fantastic, and I've just aged for them. Jewel, I swear to God, is getting younger. She's the reason why I'm doing these stupid workouts, anyways, because she posted. I was like, I don't know how anyone can go from looking so great to looking so great. I mean, she did this whole exercise thing, and she looks like fit and absolutely ridiculously beautiful. From just ridiculously beautiful, she's now gone to fit and ridiculously beautiful. So I sort of thought, well, I'd like at least one of those abs. So I'm working on that. I'm gonna stick with that joke. I'm gonna use that joke as much as I can. Did David's? There you go. There's a Freudian slip. Did McKay's irritation with Shepard and Zelenka ever carry over off camera? Yeah, all the time. I imagine you have to go somewhere method to keep momentum for the role. It's a weird thing, Thomas. I mean, I'm not a method actor. I don't really believe in method acting because not on film. I don't know how you're supposed to do that. I mean, you can't. How can you be in character when there's like 150 people standing around holding, lights and mirrors and microphones and stuff? I think it's ridiculous to believe that you could be in character truly. But whatever. I mean, as long as if you're a good actor, whatever gets you there without hurting somebody or hurting yourself or some other people, I suppose you can do what you want. But to me, it's just as it's just about faking it, really. But yeah, I definitely found myself. I would get snappy with Zelenka for sure. And also we just had so much to say back and forth, and we were stepping on each other's lines and stuff, and so it definitely, yeah, I definitely got snappy with poor old David about that stuff for sure. And Jane, when I got home at night, Jane said, "You got 15 minutes to lose McKay, or you lose me. I'm walking," because I come back and I'm snapping my fingers. I'm like, hey, that's martini. Doesn't have enough martinis. I'm very McKay when I get home because I'm all excited from being on set and everything, and a bit tired, and my filter's not on very well. So yeah, I got 15 minutes when I got home. Jane said I had 15 minutes to lose McKay, and that sort of stuck with me. So there's always a little bit. I think, yes, I do think you sort of. I'm not that good an actor. Like I'm not good. I'm not one of those like chameleon like actors that can completely change themselves into someone else. So I basically just have to play up my own traits, and so it's not that hard to play up my sarcastic jerk of a self for McKay, and luckily the writers provide all the brilliance, so I get to just talk really quickly. Has Zelenka ever translated all the Czech lines he was saying in the scenes? I heard some of them, and I was a bit ticked off, I gotta say, because I'm like, he's breaking the fourth wall. He's talking about acting and stuff. I didn't think that was right, but anyways, but frankly, I'm McKay, so I don't think Zelenka did anything right. Jewel was amazing in Firefly. Firefly, one of the best television shows I've ever seen, honestly. Yeah, and Jewel was absolutely brilliant in it. Have you ever heard about Bitcoin? And if yes, do you have some of it? I don't really, Emperor Adore. I'll tell you what. I got given this thing called a Rise Bitcoin card from a friend of mine because he was interested in this technology, and it was a $15 card, and it was a gift card. It's an absolutely brilliant idea, and I don't think they're still doing it, but it was a $15 worth of Bitcoin back when Bitcoin wasn't worth much. And you just sort of like scratched off the back or whatever it was, and you signed up for their wallet, and you put the money in you entered the Bitcoin information. That $15 is now worth $115 basically, which is just amazing. And I use it actually with my Tech Bandits and with my son. We'll go and check it every so often because I feel like it's a novelty to me. I would love to be someone who could invest huge amounts of money in those things and gain massive returns. I even wondered about maybe was there a way of being donated bitcoins for Tech Bandits? Because again, I like the idea that the kids would be interested in this stuff. In fact, I looked into doing a crypto token, like taking Ethereum and building a token on top of that for Tech Bandits, like a Tech Bandit doubloon or something. I don't know, whatever you call it. A Hewley, like a loony, but a Hewley, or a techie or something. I don't know. But and the idea there was just to sort of teach kids about cryptocurrency and the blockchain and really in finances and investing and all these kind of things. Although I don't think Bitcoin for me is investing right now. Bitcoin is definitely you're really speculating at this point. I mean, it's a bit. I feel like it's a bit of a gold rush. I would probably I signed up for a service that allows me to buy limited amounts of Bitcoin because of course all of the credit card and banking companies are terrified you're going to buy Bitcoin with their services. So that's frustrating. It's one of the reasons why I loved this gift card. And I would love to see if anyone knows of any Bitcoin cards out there. I just love the idea of being able to. I would love the idea to be able to go, and this is what I was thinking about doing this with like our own like Ethereum based coin. Could you build like a Tech Bandits coin that could be given out to Tech Bandits or could be given out to supporters or whatever? And whether it has a monetary value or not, I don't know. I mean, you could even sort of laser cut little coins or something that have a code on the back for whatever the amount of token the token would be. But the idea would be that it would be fun for them to use as a sort of a in the club currency, but at the same time, it could also be used as a fundraising venture as well. I don't know. So yes, obviously, having answered, I mean, it's a very, very long, rambling answer to that. But I know of Bitcoin. I'm fascinated by it. Absolutely fascinated by it. But I don't really haven't. I mean, I've got, as I say, I've got I've got what originally was $15 worth. It's now about $115 worth, and I was quite pleased with that. Investing is important. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. My father sat me down because as a young actor, you make a lot of money. I mean, if you work as a young actor, you're making a lot of money because you've got no responsibilities. You got no kids, you got no car, you got nothing. And I was doing like TV movies that were paying huge amounts of money for, a couple of months' work back in the sort of the 80s and stuff. Back in my long mullet, flowing mullet and thinner days, fitter days. And so you do a couple of movies in a year, and you're sitting on a lot of money. And my father sat me down and basically bullied me into buying a house, and I was very resentful for a long time. But the reality is, he sort of got me on the property ladder right early on. I had a big chunk of money in a house, which was a real sort of like stone around the neck of the albatross, as my old accounting teacher used to say, geography teacher actually. Although I think he did, yeah, he also did the investing course as well. God, it's amazing how you can make that boring. But anyways, lovely, lovely man. But my God, it was just the stuff he had to teach was so boring. But what was the point of all this? Yeah, my father sat me down once, and he pulled up he loves everything on his computer. I mean, he's an early adopter of computers. I credit him entirely for all of my love of computers, because he ran his office on a little Commodore 64 back before anyone had anything computerized in a doctor's office. And he sat me down with this file, and it was called Bankrupt. and he went through all of these sure thing blue chip stocks that he invested in that went to nothing. And and then he basically said, go buy a house. No, he didn't even say go buy a house. I think he got me in the car and drove me around to look at houses. I wanted to buy. There was one that I wanted that was really cheap because I was like, that's less money, and I don't have to worry about spending. I could buy a motorcycle with the rest. And he bullied me into this house, which I lived in for many 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 years. Resenting him every step of the way. And he had to help me out a couple of years because there were times I screwed up and I didn't I had taxes due that I didn't think of, because again, you get this beautiful thing about acting is you get these big chunks of money up front. A year later, you're not working, you still owe the tax on last year. So there was that sort of stuff, like my father sort of laughing about the fact that, like, really, they showed up at your house and they wanted to take it away because you hadn't paid your taxes. That's odd, isn't it? Dad, what do I do? And he was very very good about that. He helped me out a couple of times, and I always felt horribly guilty about it. But it's one of the privileges, I guess, of growing up in a family where when your father's a doctor, and he could and did help me out. I mean, I'm happy to say it was only really one specific situation, but yeah, there's something about just knowing that your dad's around for that stuff. I think that probably gives you a certain sense of confidence that you wouldn't have otherwise. So I really respect people who've done that on their own. But it got me. But the reality is that, in a way, I guess it was smart on his part because of because I invested my money in that stuff. Because he had to co-sign the mortgage because I was 17 when I bought my first house. Like, I could even sign for my house. They wouldn't sign the mortgage even though I had, like a giant down payment for this thing. So, anyways, do you prefer ZPM or ZPM? What's a ZPM? I have no idea what you're talking about. ZPM, Rolex, of course. Yeah, 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 yeah. Love you. Stargate, Atlantis. Yes, I love me too. You are an excellent actor. Best of all, it's thanks to the sci-fi series that girls love science fiction, shared love at home. Oh, good, 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 good. I mean, look, this is the thing is, I mean, and it's one of the reasons for Tech Bandits is, I mean, it's crazy that women have been sort of excluded from a lot of this stuff. And everyone always said to me, all the marketing people at MGM and sci-fi were always saying, like, oh, well, the audience is male between these ages. And I was like, you're not right. And they're like, no, we got the stats here. It's all males between the ages. And I was like, I'm telling you, I go to conventions. It's families of people, and there's always like a mom or an aunt or a grandmother or a little girl growing up that's watching the show. All of the emails I was getting, a lot of them were women. I mean, they were so convinced it was like males between the ages of 17 and whatever. And I was like, it's just not true. This show was like, it was like me and the family watching the Wonderful World of Disney every Sunday night. I mean, we sat down as a family to do that, and that was, I felt that's what I loved about Stargate Atlantis was I really felt like, I talked to people. They're all like the kids of people who grew up watching. I mean, they're the kids of parents who watched this with them, and many of them end up in the sciences. And so, I mean, again, another reason why I like this, I want to do this Tech Bandits thing is that one of the ultimate compliments I can get is someone saying, like, "Oh, I went into physics because of you." I'm like, because I pretended to be a physicist. Like, how cool is that? So, and I've always loved learning. I hated school in every aspect of school. I just hated it. Like, skin crawling, can't sit still, hatred for being told what to do or what to learn or how to learn it. I hated it. But then I go home and do electronics or read books on chemistry or I didn't understand them, but I still read them. On bulletin boards back before the internet, looking up the anarchists' cookbooks, and I could never make that connection between. I didn't understand that my playing, building things at home and breaking things and pulling them apart and stuff. I never could connect that to the science and such that we were learning at school because it was just so completely different, and they just didn't know what to do with sort of a non-neurotypical learner, I suppose. Anyways, I freaking love it. BBS is Sean knows what I'm talking about. There you go. It's the exact same for Doctor Who. People think predominantly male audience. Now we have a woman doctor. She's become a role model for many of the girls and women. Yeah, I mean, and look, and one of the things I loved about Doctor Who was that even the companions were always had. I mean, maybe not back in the Tom Baker, John Pertwee days where I started. There was still a little bit of the damsel in distress stuff, but they were definitely strong. They were working with what they had at that time. I mean, that, with their own male understanding of this stuff. I think they were working towards strong women. I mean, Layla. Did I get that right? I thought it was Leela. Leela was a freaking warrior princess, man. I was so in love with her. I thought she was the absolute coolest companion ever because like she kicked ass and he was just like freaking smart. So, that was my those are my I mean that was my favorite combo. Um, so funnily enough, I'm studying A-level maths and physics at Exeter. Oh, very good, Exeter, very good. Applied for Exeter University this year, hopefully studying physics and astronomy. And one of the things that inspired me is, well, Sam Carter. Better be me, Will. There you go. Well, see, this is great. I love that. Um, of course, women watch as well, and the shows are inspiring. I mean, well, this is the funny thing is, I think part of this whole sort of male-dominated culture is that males think we've got to make stuff for women. It's like, no, we don't. Like, it's like, women need to be making this stuff. Right now I feel like we're still struggling to. I love Sarah Jane too. Look, I love Sarah Jane just because I love that actress. But I gotta say, Leela was just for me. I'd never seen anything like that. There was a woman who could like kill people with a knife. You know, um, and of course there was the obvious. She's wearing short little skin dresses and stuff. But I mean, there was definitely male part to that as well. But the idea of this this warrior teaming up with a Gallifreyan, it just seemed like a Gallifreyan Time Lord. It just seemed like God. That was like, oh my God, I want that for myself. I want to be that. And for the longest time, my plan was to be Doctor Who. I didn't realize you could just pretend to be it. That was like amazing. Yeah, well, I still want to build my own canine. Well, that was my pitch when Mars died. I was like, well, look, we can never replace Mars, so let me build a dog. But they didn't go for that. I mean, there was, first it's the robots, then it's the lasers and the killing and the AIs taking over. I'm a traditional feminist. Is unnatural and the exception. I is okay, but what? Don't know what that means. Um, I'm a traditionalist. I'm a traditionalist. I don't know what traditionalist means. What does traditionalist mean? I never got into Red Dwarf. I should watch Red Dwarf with Baz. I think Baz and I might actually get into that. Because it was one of those things I sort of watched bits of every so often. I would sort of chuckle, but I never really got into it, so I didn't know what was going on. So I will have to watch that again. Although I got to say, recently we got back into the IT crowd, the IT crowd, the IT crowd. Oh my God, that's so freaking funny. Who's your favorite actor to work with in SGA? Obviously, Rolex, myself. Man, I prefer Doctor Who was a male. I am also female. Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think you can. I don't think you could really judge it. The reality is, it's a taste thing, right? I grew up on John Pertwee and then Tom Baker. And Tom Baker, that's when it sort of just really blossomed my love of Doctor Who. But then, that's where it was for me. I mean, that still is Doctor Who. When I think of Doctor Who, that's what I think of. I struggle to get into the new one because it's not. I mean, I don't think it's aimed at me. I mean, it's not aimed at traditional old, you know, Doctor Who fans. I mean, I should go back and watch some of the old ones because I know how rubbery and silly they were. I remember even at the time seeing mistakes, if that makes sense, or seeing, issues that they had with production value and stuff, but still just loving it. I mean, and the way I think what really got me, and was definitely, crediting Tom Baker for me getting into acting. Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I should be writing him letters and saying thank you because watching that guy just chew up the scenery was fantastic. He just did odd things and sort of like leered into the camera and was a jerk to people sometimes, and absolutely an inspiration for McKay. Absolutely, and for my life. Basically, I walked around with a bag of jelly babies, which you couldn't even get in Canada, for most of my childhood. Well, that and a teddy bear that I called Sebastian because I've been watching Brideshead Revisited. And I couldn't call him Aloysius because that was already taken. The older Doctor Who films are great. Dalek's Invasion of London. That was Peter Cushing, though, wasn't it? Is a great film. Can't remember the Doctor is the older guy with white hair. That's Peter Cushing. I think it was Peter Cushing in that one, Will. The bubble wrap monster from the Ark in Space. Oh my God, that's right. The Ark in Space. That freaked me out. The one that really got me was the Sea Devils. Remember those? When they were like, oops, Jesus. When they were melting the door to the submarine. I remember having freaking nightmares about that. Or the Green Death. That was pretty wild. Um, there was what was the other one? Oh, the Autons. I think that was the first one that really freaked me out. Was the Terror of the Autons, and that was a John Pertwee one. And it was, you look at it now, and it looks like they're about to like break into song because it looks like a video that's almost like mocking what London looked like back then because it was so cliched. But it was yeah, it's fantastic. Um, if the world is a movie, what series or movie is? God. Um, wow. It's a good question. You mean what are we now, or where are we going? I mean, I think right now we're heading towards the expanse. I mean, that seems to be the way we're going right now. But what film or series are we? God, I don't know. I don't. I can't really think of one. I mean, the joke being probably West Wing, the way it is right now. You are such a treasure of a human being. Oh, Katie, that's sweet of you, but you don't know me. I'm a horrible man. One of the best officers, Blake Seven. Oh my God, Blake Seven. It was that Blake Seven. I think I might have been a bit young for that. But the other one I loved was the Tomorrow People. Oh my God! And I watched the opening scene for the Tomorrow People on YouTube the other day. It is the lamest thing I've ever seen. Like the effects, there's like a guy sitting on a bridge, and you could sort of see where they cut it out. I mean, it was just extraordinary how the effects have have changed. Speaking of that, Baz had to do an interview for a new school next year because we're sort of big on getting him back into public school. We put him in private school because well, sort of twofold. The classes were way way too big, and he just wasn't. He was just getting lost in the class because he's not like the worst kid in the class, and he's not the best kid in the class. So I think it's easy for him to sort of fly under the radar like I did, and just not do anything, not be pushed. And of course, that's worked out really well during the pandemic, but we can't afford it. I mean, it's crazy expensive, these private schools. And I'm just not sure it's worth the money because, it really it just comes down to he's just got to be inspired by stuff. And he is. There's definitely stuff I see. I mean, he luckily takes after his mom. He's a smart kid, but he also takes after his dad, and his dad's not very good at, focusing on things. And, with the many distractions that are available now, it makes it very difficult, right? So, 12 Monkeys the movie. Oh my God, it is kind of like 12 Monkeys the movie. Oh my God, oh no, Idiocracy. Oh my God, you're right. No, that's it. Idiocracy. Absolutely. That probably sums up our world better. This is the problem. Smart people not having kids. Religious zealots and not very smart people having thousands of them. It's terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying. Zlenke, Dr. David Nickel, I see him when I can. I mean, whenever he's in town, he looks me up, and we meet for coffee, and he's usually late, and I get grumpy. What do you go? I am a huge fan of Firefly. Absolutely huge fan. I would love to do a redo series, but this is the problem with this stuff is they keep throwing out stuff about it being redone. All right, look, I hear motion above. I've chatted on for what the hell? I talked for 43 minutes. God, I love the sound of my own voice, don't I? Everybody, thank you very much. Like I say, be safe, be kind, and be brilliant. And I'm trying to do these every day. So if you don't see me, I probably haven't exercised, and you should make me feel guilty for it, please. Um, but I would really like to yeah, I'd like to try to do this every day because, well, frankly, I want to look like Jewel State. Well, somewhat. All right. So I shall say until we meet again, a cheerio and huzzah! And I'll see you all for D&D, Dungeons and Dragons. We battle dragons at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Twitch. Tech Banditry, we're known as. And it's just me yelling at a bunch of kids while when James tries nothing. James does a million different voices, and it's freaking great. So come and join us. It's fantastic. And yeah, and if you can throw a little love at Tech Bandits, by all means check out the Patreon or thetechbandits.com. Lots of info there. I got to do some updates on there, but there's a donations page there as well. So think about it if you can. That'd be amazing. Everybody, be safe, be kind, be brilliant. See you soon. Bye.